Hey everybody, in this tutorial we're going to take a look at some of the more advanced features of the Elite Motion Controller when you're using it in Cartoon Animator 4 for hand capture. All right, so we're going to take a look at some of the more interesting parameters that you can use to customize your hand capture. And finally, we're going to take a look at using your hands to puppet a character on the screen. In this case, it's going to be a creepy little spider. All right, so let's get started. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is have our character on the screen selected. We'll go over to our gear profile list and select the Elite Motion Controller from that profile list. Make sure it's green. All right, we'll go down to our hands as well. Make sure that the Elite Motion Controller is enabled for the hands, and we're good to go. So once that's all set up, we can just go ahead and take a quick preview. All right, so I'm just going to preview really quick. And we haven't done any zero pose yet, so you can see that the fingers on our characters, the reaction is pretty good, but the fingers may not be entirely straight. And you can see if I rotate around here slightly, my hand is straight, but the hand on the character is a little bit, the fingers are a little bit crooked, okay? Now just to confuse you here, we're using my left hand to puppet the character's right hand, okay? So keep that in mind. This is my left hand here, and the character's right hand, you see the fingers aren't straight like they are here, so we need to set a zero pose. So let's go ahead and quickly do that. We'll click on Set Zero Pose right here. And we have the option to change our countdown timer. Let's change it to 3 seconds. We don't need a full 5 seconds to prepare for this. All right, we'll set my fingers out like this, hands flat out, fingers apart, just like in the image there. Okay, success. And then we'll clench our fists, again, not too tightly, just like this. And we are good to go. Success. All right, so now when we preview after this, we should have a much more accurate result for the fingers. Okay, let's take a look at my left hand here. Okay, you can see now the fingers are straight when my hands are outstretched, or fingers are outstretched. The fingers on the character are also straight. Okay, so again, it's always good practice to set a zero pose before you move on, just to get the most accurate hand capture there. Okay, so very important. Let's go over here to our set finger range now. So you can actually set your finger range. It's a pretty cool option here. To adjust your character's natural hand gesture pose. Okay, so you can see here we have a hand gesture profile set to open palm. Okay, and we have preview on. Let's go ahead and keep it at open palm for now. Okay, we're going to take a look at closed fist in just a moment. And we can adjust our right hand strength and our left hand strength. Okay, let's take a look at how we do that here. Now, if I have my fingers outstretched like this, and I increase the right hand strength, notice that the fingers are almost going to go backwards. So it's basically taking them to an extreme value, okay? They're going to open a lot stronger. That's why we increase the strength. Just imagine it like they're opening stronger, so we're increasing the strength. We can also do the same for closed fist. Let's select closed fist here. And if we increase the strength of our closed fist, look what happens to our fingers, okay? They get more tightly or more loosely clenched, okay? So that's how you can adjust the strength for either hands. Okay, we're only using the right hand as an example here. And you can notice that if I bring my right hand in here, how different it is from the right hand when I open them the same and I close them the same. Okay, so the character's right hand is a lot more clenched and a lot more open when I open it to a straight open hand pose or gesture there. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look now at the individual fingers. So you can also set the range for your individual fingers, every finger on your hand. Okay, and let's change this to open palm once again. And I'm going to just go ahead and, so basically each one of these finger sliders here represents a bone on your character's hand. Okay, so little finger 0 will be the base finger. Okay, let's take a look at just the right fingers here for now. Little finger, the first slider will be the base finger, or the base bone on your finger there. Okay, so if we clench and we open like this, let's take a look at making sure that one of our fingers is slightly forward. So we can take our right finger 0, 0, and that's our thumb. Okay, that's the base of the thumb. So if we increase that, we can go to the index finger or the second joint on the thumb. So you can see the second joint moving around. Let's go to the index finger here, and you can see the base joint on the index finger moving back and forth there as well. We can take the small little part on the top of the index finger there. Okay, pretty hard to do in reality, but if we have a slider on a digital character, no problem. Okay, and you can decide to deselect the entire finger bone if you don't want it to be influenced at all. Okay, so just deselect that, and it'll take it back to the default. Let's take a look at our middle finger here. We can move that forward and backwards. Again, ring and little finger. This is the base of the little finger there, ring finger there. Okay, just wanted to kind of show you the results, how we can maybe make them a bit stranger. You know, if sometimes you may have a character like that. You want the fingers to be a little bit unconventional, so you may want to adjust the finger range right off the bat for the capture. Okay, so you have that option. Let's change this down to a closed fist, for example. Some people may want the thumb, for example, to be a little bit more clenched towards the fingers. Here you can use that right finger in combination with the other bones, okay, to kind of clench the thumb a bit more towards the fingers. You can see the difference on my right hand and my left hand, okay? Whether or not the character is holding something or, what have you, that's going to be the result that you get by adjusting the finger range. All right, I think that's pretty straightforward. You can have fun with that on your own time experimenting. So now let's take a look over here under the control section. If we go to go ahead and take our right hand, our character's right hand is being puppeted by my left hand, as you can see here. Okay, so and then my right hand is controlling the character's left hand. Right, so you can see actor left hand right now is controlled by my right hand. Okay, we can change that to my left hand. So now my left hand is going to be controlling both of them. We can select left, right, or neither of them. So I'm only using my left hand and it's controlling both my character's hands. Okay, so generally you may want to do this in certain cases just to make it easier on yourself, so you don't have to use both hands. I tend to do that myself. We can take it over to none, and if we take it to none, then nothing's going to happen. Okay, it's not going to be puppeted at all. All right, we'll take it back to left hand. So both our character's hands can be puppeted by my left hand. All right, there we go. A pretty decent result. You can also adjust the facing of the palm as well. So right now my character's right hand is facing outwards. We can click the palm facing button and change it to inwards. Okay, so now it's facing the opposite direction. And back to outwards. And you can also change it from front to back. Okay, so up, down, and there's also front to back. We just move over like this. And you can also see we have the option to flip the hand as well. So if we flip the hand, it's going to move up or down. Okay, let's go ahead and quickly do that. You can see facing upwards now, facing downwards. And depending on the scenario, you may want to change that. Okay, just wanted to let you know you have the option here. And right now we don't have the option for elbow flip because we're only using hand control. So if we want to stop the preview there, we can go up to elbow, set up our hand control, our control mode rather, from hand. We're going to choose upper arm IK there. And this will allow us to control the entire arm with our hand capture. So this is pretty cool. Really good way to animate your character's arms. Now we have auto elbow and wrist flip enabled. Okay, so if I press space and I preview, let's bring my left hand in there, controlling both arms. You can see we can move it around. Let's change our actor's left hand to the right hand data there. Okay, so you can see the difference. So I'm only going to use one hand now. And we can move it around like this. When I move it around my leap motion controller, it'll automatically flip right over there. Okay, so that's exactly what we want. It flips like this. So it's a really cool feature with the Motion Live 2D plugin that allows you to do this, the automatic elbow flip. Okay, let's do it for the right hand here as well. Okay, exactly the same thing. Get a nice smooth flip of the elbow. And this is really, really useful for when you're puppeting your character with motion capture. Okay, let's stop the preview now. Now, if we took off auto elbow and wrist flip, now we have the option to manually do it. So let's just use my left hand here. And if we move my elbow, click over here, it'll just face the other way. Okay, so in some cases you may want to manually do this, flip the elbow manually. It really depends, but I find that the auto flip works quite well. Okay, so you can have the elbow facing up or down, and you can adjust that manually. And you can also adjust the hand manually as you're capturing if you don't have auto hand flip enabled. Okay, so lots of options here for manually flipping during the capture. And you can see here a nice example of a character with a clenched fist lifting the weights here. Okay, pretty cool stuff. I just wanted to show you this example here as an example of the automatic elbow flip. And the next thing we're going to talk about is the strength settings. Okay, so let's go over here to our strength tab. Let's enable auto elbow and wrist flip one more time here and go back to strength. Now, in some cases, you may not want to have your hands or elbows move as far as you do in your capture, or in some cases, you may want the opposite. So right now I'm previewing with my left hand here. You can see if I move it up or down, it's moving a decent amount up and down. We have the hands move left and right. So let's go ahead and just change both hands to left hand data here, and we can take a look at the difference. So right now, a hand move left and right. If we increase that value, you can see the result. It's going to make that strength increase or decrease. Okay. If I increase it up to a higher value and I move my hand just a little bit on the capture, it's going to move a lot on my character, and vice versa. If I move a lot on the capture and the value is weak, the strength is weak, it's going to move my character very, very little, the hands very little. So in some cases, you may want to isolate this, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. Now, front and back, we can't move right now because that's for side-facing characters. We're going to talk about that later. Hands move up and down. Okay, so if I increase that, it's going to have a much more extreme reaction on the character. Okay, very straightforward. I'm only moving a little bit, and here I'm just moving the hands a little bit, vice versa there. Okay, again, it's how they move up and down and left and right. So you can set these individual strength parameters to adjust that value. And it depends maybe how much room you have on your desktop and so on and so forth. Okay, here's hand rotation. So my wrist is down like that. Here's the fingers rotation. You can see kind of like an overall strength value for the finger rotation we looked at earlier. And you can double click on each of the values to reset them back to 100 there. Okay, so just double click on the text. That'll reset it back to 100. Let's stop our preview there, and let's go over here to front and back. For this one, we're going to move to a character. I'm going to select a different character now. All right, dummy S2. And let's take a look now at previewing. We're going to need to set a right-facing profile here, 45 degrees. And what we're going to do here is just reset the zero pose really quick, just to get ourselves grounded again. The most accurate results. So again, hands flat out like this, fingers apart, and hands clenched. We got a 3-second countdown. 3, 2, 1. All right, so now we have some we have a good base for our hand capture on our side character. Okay, again, you want to do that for every character that you use. So let's go over here to controls and preview. Okay, we have both hands controlled separately. My right hand, again, is controlling my actor's left hand. So let's go ahead and preview that. So here, I'm using my left hand to control the actor's right hand. He's punching back and forth. You can see my hand in the diagnostic visualizer there in the bottom. Just moving slightly back and forth. Okay. If we want to increase or decrease that value, here we go. Hands move front or back. We can increase it or decrease it. And you can see the reference point gizmo there will change as well. So if I move it, if I increase it, okay, it'll go way forward. There'll be a much bigger difference between the original position and the position that I move my hand into. Okay. And if I take that value down, if I move my hand a lot, it won't move the character's hand as much if the value is lower. Okay, so a value of 22, not as much. And move left and right, it's not going to have any effect because our character is side-facing. And that's about it for the strength settings. Let's take a look now at how to control the spider, the one that I kind of teased you about earlier. So right now, let's go up to our Windows and our Content Manager. Under the Actor tab, under Character, under G3, we're going to find G3 Bone Hand, and we have our Bone Hand Spider. This is the special spider that we can animate with our hands. Using motion capture. Let's bring in his little partner over here, the G3 Freebone Spider, and I'm going to take a look at the difference between these two characters right off the bat. Okay, so let's go ahead and close down the Content Manager. The spider on the left is the hand bone spider. So let's go ahead and select him and go into our 2D motion layer, motion key editor here. Okay, we go over here to the image view and hierarchy view. In the hierarchy view, you can see the individual bones and how they're named. So my right hand, right finger, and these again correspond to the base bones and the other bones in the hands. And we have the forearm bone that controls the up and down movement of the spider. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Okay, let's close this down for now. Let's select our other character here and go into the 2D motion key editor. Here you can see a different hierarchy view. Okay, so the bones are just named bone 7, bone 8, okay, according to the hierarchy. And you can't animate these with the motion or with the Elite Motion controller. Okay, so just be aware of that. All right, so let's take a look at how we can animate this spider. Pretty cool stuff. Let's go into the Motion Live plugin one more time. And I'm going to go ahead here and activate our Leap Motion controller. And after the Leap Motion controller, again, assign it to the hand as well. And under control, what I'm going to do here is set 0 pose first. Again, whenever you activate a new character, best practice is always to set a 0 pose. Okay, but first of all, let's take a look at changing our left hand data to both be controlled by my left hand. Okay, so there's my left hand right there. We're going to set a 0 pose really quick first. And let's go ahead and 2-second countdown is fine. Let's start this. Okay, so you can notice my spider is in 2 parts right now. No worries. We're going to take a look at how to adjust that later. Again, just capturing the hands open and hands clenched. Now, I only need to do one hand in this case because I'm only using one hand to control to drive the animation on the spider. Okay, there we go. So let's go ahead and take a look at previewing right off the bat, what it looks like. If I preview, you can see if I clench my fingers, each one of my fingers controls a leg on the spider. Okay, and since it's mirrored, I'm basically controlling both sides with one hand. They are going simultaneously. All right, so we can adjust the strength as well if we want. Let's go over here to the strength. And notice that my characters, if I decrease the hand rotation, now my spider's eyes are kind of centered. They're not rotating as much from side to side like they were before. Okay, so that's something that you may want to adjust depending on your character as well, or depending on the scenario. Let's just go ahead and stop that preview for now. All right, and the next thing we're going to do is go up here, and let's go to control mode and select forearm IK. Now this is going to allow us to puppet our character up and down on that forearm bone like I showed you before. Okay, so let's go ahead and preview this really quick. Press space here. Now, I'm not moving my hand up and down. I'm just moving from side to side here. Now notice that here's our spider going into 2 parts. So we can go up and down, but we're also moving our spider into 2 separate parts when we go from side to side. So this is obviously not something we want unless we have some kind of mutating spider that is able to split itself. Okay, so let's change our hand move left and right strength to 0. Okay, and now you can see we can puppet it up and down. However, if we go side to side, it's going to stay kind of combined into a single spider. All right, and we can adjust that hands move up and down value as well. Okay, to increase the strength of that up and down movement. All right, there we go. So again, you may want to adjust these according to the scenario, according to the movement that you want on your character. All right, let's go down here to our auto hand flip. Now, if we don't have auto hand flip enabled and we flip my hand over, palms facing upwards, the spider will just kind of stay where it is. However, if we have auto hand flip enabled just like this, notice we can kind of simulate the spider's death, kind of just like going up like that and having its legs kind of clenching in the air there, right? So this is a pretty cool example of what we can do to, simulate the spider's death just using our hand control. All right, pretty fun stuff. We can have it move up and down and so on and so forth. So let's go ahead and we have this option here as well for resume to preset. This is the last thing I'm going to talk about. Resume to preset basically means if my hands go off the screen, how long it's going to take for the spider, for the bone to get back to the original position. Okay, so if I move my hand off the screen like this, it'll take 0.3 seconds to move back to its root position. Okay, just like that. I can adjust that to a value of maybe say a value of 1, okay, just to show the difference. And let's preview that. So now if I take my hands off the screen, just like this, it'll take 1 second for the spider to return back to the original position, okay? Fingers out like this, and then 1 more second, and he's back into that original position. Okay, so that's what the resume to preset means, and you can adjust that as much as you want. Let's go ahead and record this now. So I'm going to go press record and press the space key. Here you can see I have my fingers moving around and simulating just up and down, the spider kind of spinning its web, and then whoop, just dying, okay? And then the leg is just kind of shaking in the death throes, just like that. And let's play back right here. You can see the result of my puppet and the death. And my finger and index and middle finger just shaking to create that kind of death throw simulation there. All right, so pretty cool stuff. And that's really all there is to it. Those are some of the more advanced features for hand motion capture using the Elite Motion Controller in Cartoon Animator 4. So as you can see, lots of potential, lots of ways that you can not only animate characters' hands, but also characters that are based off of your hand bones. And they don't have to have 8 legs like the spider does either. They can have 2 legs or more legs, more joints. Okay, but just realize that you're restricted by the amount of joints and the amount of fingers on your hands. Okay, so don't go too crazy. All right, so again, thanks so much for watching, everyone. Hopefully you learned a lot. As always, you can check out our forums over at forum.reallusion.com, and I hope to see you in the next video.